He has a 1-1 count. That one's struck high. Left side. That one's going. That's out of here off the wall. You have to be kidding me. Fireworks. Here you go.
Welcome in, everybody. Class 1A Week 6 rankings heading your way just in a matter of minutes. Postseason content is on the way. We've got brackets. We know who all these teams are going to play to get to Carroll and to get to Merchants Park. We broke all that down last Thursday. So if you head to our YouTube channel, click the live section and scroll down a little bit. You're going to see the thumbnail where we're talking bracket breakdown, all that good stuff. But before we get going with this week's rankings, Andrew, I'm going to hand it off to you. We've got kind of a call for help, you could say, for the people of Iowa and helping a coach and a family in need.
As a baseball family, I think that I hope we can all get together, and with all the floodings that were taking place near Rock Valley and others, of course, we've a lot of people impacted. One of those is the Dirks family, and of course, Coach Dirks spearheading the efforts for Spencer and that great baseball program. Him and his family have been taken out of their home due to the flooding. They've lost cars. And as I was looking at it, a wedding is in jeopardy at the moment. And so there's a lot of people impacted. If you get the chance, help out. But, as a baseball community and family, let's go ahead and try and help out Coach Dirks and his family. Again, on our socials, we have posted up the GoFundMe, and we'll go ahead and pin that up on Twitter, and we'll make sure that you guys can see that, continue to go there, help out. It's hard enough going through a season, the normal rigors of a baseball season. Hopefully we can come through here and help what is already added pressure for Coach Dirks. I hope he's doing all right. I don't know how that impacts them moving forward, but it's got to be that much more difficult just to do a simple job of being, of getting there, right? Let alone doing the crazy job that can be coaching. So, if you go to the GoFundMe page, again, we have that on our socials. We'll pin it up on our socials as well, and we'll get it out there so that you can catch up. So however you can, please donate. Give as much as you can. They need it, not just money, but I believe also on there's certain items that they're looking for as well. So go ahead and search down on the GoFundMe page, and again, it's on our social media link. So please go ahead and help out someone in the baseball family.
Absolutely. And even if you're unable to give, just going on, liking, sharing, just spreading the word can help a tremendous amount too. So, we want to use our platform to our best ability in terms of this, and we're praying for everybody out there and everybody that was impacted. But switching tones here, we do have 1A rankings coming your way, 15 through 11. Let's reveal that right now, Andrew. We've got two new teams inside the rankings in Class 1A this week. One being the Dons, Andrew. The Dons started preseason ranked. They kind of quickly hopped out of the rankings, and now here they are a month plus later, and they're back at number 13.
Yeah, and I think a big reason for that, you look at one of the more dominant teams in Class 1A, and I'll go to Newman Catholic. I ask you, how many 1A teams have they lost to so far? Yeah, you're struggling to find it as much as I am, right? But you will find one, the Dons. They took the win over Newman Catholic. They did so by a run, but a win's a win, right? And man, had they been on a roll. Throughout the rest of the week, though, take a look at their scores. 23 runs, 11 runs, 12 runs, 13 runs, and the win over Newman, which is basically like putting up 40. So that is a huge job by the Dons. They have excelled here, and big credit to everyone in there. This is a team that's already coming in. They're hot, right? 251 total bases right now, and they've got some guys that are just absolute rake and doing some fantastic work. And I've said him once. He is one of the coolest names out there, Landon Frost. I'll say it again, coolest name, one of the coolest names out there. He's the guy that's helping the league spearhead that mark. Slash line of 462, 607, slugging 769. That is something impressive. And he has over 10 extra base hits on the year. Man, this is a guy that's absolutely rolling. But it's not just him. There's a whole plethora of guys who are doing, Caden Kanak. We mentioned him last year. You and I mentioned him last year. He's a guy that's been big and influential as well. Another over 400 batter. Man, and that's without talking about what their pitching staff is doing, how they're hurling the ball well. They're spreading it all over the field, but they're keeping it in. They're keeping it tight when it comes to the mound. I love Don Bosco. I think that, personally, I would have loved to have seen him higher up. But again, this is, it can go either way, right? And in the end, they know where they're headed. And in the end, they could run through the gambit and laugh at us from the state tournament, right? So, who knows? But again, I love where Don Bosco's at.
Yeah, a 2 seed in St. Ansgar's district. I'm gonna try it when we talk about teams, kind of bring up where they're at in the bracket, because now that's really
Mm-hmm.
relevant now, is where are these teams at
Yeah,
in the bracket, and who are they on a collision course to possibly meet. So Don Bosco, a 2 seed in that district with St. Ansgar, could be a really fun district final matchup. Well, the team I want to talk about quickly before we get on to the top 10 is Woodbury Central. Now you think of the elite Class 1A teams in terms of hitting, Linville, Soley, Burlington, Notre Dame, Newman Catholic and company. Well, none of those teams can say what Woodbury Central can say, and that's that they lead the entire class in team batting average. This team is hitting
yeah,
395 right now, Andrew. 16-4 overall record. This is a well-deserving top 15 ranking. They play in a tough conference with the likes of Kingsley Pearson, OABCAG and company. So the competition's there. I mean, they're led by Eric McGill, the senior. He's hitting over 500, as well as Ian Churin. I'm definitely butchering that name, the freshman for Woodbury Central. He's also hitting 558. So this team can hit. I mean, the McGill's leading them in innings pitched, as well as Joe Distigder, the sophomore. He's also got 20 innings for them. So Woodbury Central kind of put a star by this team, because this team can hit. And as I bring up what
yeah,
bracket they're in, as I pull it up quickly, they are looks like a 1 seed across from Remsen St. Mary's. So that could be a fun
yeah,
sub-state final, as, again, Woodbury Central a 1 seed in District 4, Remsen St. Mary's a 1 seed in District 3. So that was 15 through 11. Not a ton of movement outside of that. Woodbine moving up a spot. Alta Aurelia moving up a spot. I saw they won their Twin Lakes Conference, I believe.
yeah.
Again, Alta Aurelia, congrats to the Warriors. And then Ankeny Christian slotting in here at number 11, just outside the top 10. Let's get to the top 10, though. And our biggest jumper in Class 1A this week, as I kind of quickly sum these guys up, is Moravia. 6-0 this week. This team is coming on really, really strong. It's a team that just got into the rankings last week, and now here they are, rising again for the second week in a row, up to number 10 here. Northland 3-1, lost to 2A. Marquette Catholic, no loss by any means. They'll stay here. Wapsie Valley 5-0 last week. Sigourney 3-0 last week, and then Newman Catholic. They were the top 5 team. They drop out of the top 5. They'll sit here at number 6. Dropped one to Don Bosco in a 1-run game. Shouldn't affect too much. Obviously, we know Newman Catholic brings to the table. They're still very much a force in Class 1A. But Newman Catholic hopping out of the top 5 means we've got room for another team to join in. It was a familiar team, a team that's back in the top 5, so nobody new by any means. We'll get to that. But hopping in here at number 5, it is St. Ansgar. Andrew 4-0 for St. Ansgar. Man, though, now that we talk about it, 2 seed Don Bosco and 1 seed St. Ansgar could be a little fun, a little challenging district final for the Saints. I mean, we talked about how they finally avoid Newman Catholic in their district, and here you go. You got one of the only Class 1A teams to take down the Knights. So, what are you kind of looking
Yeah.
for in St. Ansgar and Don Bosco in a possible clash there?
Well, man, I am looking forward to Don Bosco getting to where we thought they should have been last year. And of course, St. Ansgar's been fun to watch as well. That Jace, I am not if I'm saying this right.
Schweisau.
Weissau. I know I keep butchering that here and there, but I love what they put up here because he's got He's what, third in the, no, tied for second, I will say, in the entire class in strikeouts at 74. I don't know, I don't care who you are. If you put an ERA under a buck, you're doing something right. 0.36, the guy's rocking. So that's going to be fun there. And then, of course, on the other end, we already talked about Don Bosco's offense. They are constantly top 10 in over three statistical offensive categories. They're a fun team offensively, but what we get here is a perennial good pitching staff. And we get that. Jace being one of them, as we just mentioned, other guys as well. I think it's going to be one that kind of goes down to the wire here, but that would be the ultimate way that we would have a sub-state final, and then we would all be sitting there going, man, that's a state title kind of game. I mean, truly, these teams can bring it. I love what they bring to the table. Again, what you get is two premier hitting offense guys. Pitching wise, you're going to get the battle here. Both of them really kind of go towards. There's not really a weakness for either team, but if you had to say, they kind of lean towards the weakness of the other team. But again, there's not a lot of weakness here because an off day for the Dons, the off day for St. Ansgar, good days for half the league, right? So I like where they're at. Again, St. Ansgar, a couple guys in the top 20 pitching. Don Bosco, a couple guys in the top 15 hitting. So, it's gonna be a Goliath versus Goliath game, and I really hope we get to see that.
Moving on to number 4 in Class 1A this week. It was the previous number 1 team, Remsen St. Mary's. They dropped 3 spots here, lose to Akron Westfield. I do apologize. That last game that those two played did not count towards the conference. So I later learned that. I learned something new every day in terms of Iowa high school baseball. But that game was the non-conference game. So these two squads clash on Friday night in what is the conference game and what will be for the conference title. Andrew and I are kind of lining our schedules, trying to do what we can to hit that game up. So kind of be looking for that. I'm excited. I can't say I've seen Akron Westfield, but I've seen all their stats. I've been following them all year. I'm super excited to check them out. But Remsen St. Mary's here at 1-1 last week. Not too much of a sample size as they dropped 3 spots. So we'll move on to number 3 because we know Remsen St. Mary's has everything in their control to climb back up in the rankings with a win on Friday. But number 3 this week and back in the top 3 is Linville Sully. Well deserving. I think dropping to number 6, we knew this team was going to be right back in the top, and here they are. Perfect week. They're back in. They're ready to go. I really like their draw in their sub-state bracket, and I don't know, Andrew. I mean, the Hawks are it's gonna be tough to knock these guys out in the postseason.
Well, and the fact is, we've talked about Quarter Nounharder for almost every week, but Carson Matson is another guy you got to put in the mix. And you look down, you don't scroll very far on any list before you see another Linville Sully guy. They have a number of guys batting well over 350, and it's just really fun when you put all this together. How they bring it about, what they do, it's fun. I do want to mention too. I love how when you look down the line of a lot of these guys, they have 15, 20 plus RBIs. So yeah, this is something where last week we went maybe a little head scratcher, but then again, it wasn't like anybody was panicking, right? No one was sitting there going, "Wow, they're 6, man. They're tracking downward fast." In the end, everyone has a little bit of a down spurt, and Linville Sully doesn't have it for long, as we've just seen. So love where they're headed. Again, this is a team that's rocking in the top 10 in most offensive categories. In fact, I believe they're a top 5 team in extra base hits. So, you know what? They could still be down coming the postseason. They could be down 4 runs, and they could turn it on its head like that. So, again, I'm not going to be worried until they've actually said, hey, Linville Sully got beat in the postseason. Until then, I'm not going to worry.
Yeah, Andrew, I love queuing up the Class 1A team stats on Bound. I like comparing the top 5 in batting average and the top 5 in team ERA. And right now, there's only 2 teams that sit in the top 5 in each of those. One being Linville Sully, and the next being the number 2 team, which I'm revealing right now in Burlington Notre Dame. Another team that was maybe harshly examined last week after 2 losses to ranked 3A teams. But here they are back again. We knew they'd be back. I think our ranker also knew they were going to be back. I mean, no one was panicking, and here they are after 4-0 week wins over Central Lee, Regina, Meepo, and Burlington. So Burlington Notre Dame, I mean, it's just business as usual, and this team is right on track and ready to roll into the postseason.
Well, and you look at it here as well. Not many teams have over 100 walks and a slugging mark like Burlington Notre Dame has. I mean, certainly that they are one of the few that can make that claim. Of course, you got Linville Sully as well. You've got teams like that, Wapsie Valley as well. But ultimately, no, you don't get a lot of teams that have that kind of a mark. And again, like we had mentioned already, slugging 500. So they're spraying it all over. Again, you don't get very many claims. In fact, maybe a couple other teams that can actually say that they're in that mix. And again, like we said, those teams include Linville Sully, Sigourney, other teams like that. So yeah, this is the real deal. Burlington Notre Dame. I'm really excited to see how they walk through the postseason, and hopefully they'll have some success. But again, it's not going to be easy. But if any team can do it, they can.
Well, Burlington Notre Dame at 2 means we've got one team left, and I believe this is the first time the Westerners have had our number 1 spot this year. I mean, it's an incredible story, Andrew. Preseason unranked. I mean, we talk about how preseason rankings are so difficult because it's so hard to
Yeah.
examine some of these teams that we just don't know about. Obviously, we didn't know anything about Akron Westfield. This team hopped in at number 9 in week 2, and they have not looked back since. They've just been slowly climbing, and here they are at number 1. I feel like a lot of people might not know a ton about Akron Westfield just because it's maybe not the most household name in Class 1A over the last how many years. I mean, what's making this team so successful right now?
Well, you look at a lot of the scores that they put up here, and you look at man, they've given up maybe 1 run, 2 runs. I mean, they gave up 1 run to Remsen St. Mary's, and that was it. So what they're doing, I feel, is a little bit more on the pitching side of things. They're not letting teams get out to their gates early. They're not letting teams find that offensive groove. Meanwhile, Akron just kind of sits back, and they can wait to the 4th inning and strike big. They can put a run here, a run there, and before you know it, a couple runs later, and you're already down 5. So they kind of deceptively, and I know that at this point it sounds odd because no one is looking at Akron Westfield and going, "Ooh man, how did they get here?" No, that Akron's here and they're here to stay. But this is a team that gets on you quick. You take a look at a lot of their box scores, and they have a little here, a little there, and they've had some games where they put up some crooked innings, but they are consistent at putting up runs, and they really force you to do a lot that you're not comfortable with. So this is a team I feel is geared perfectly to get to the postseason because this is a team that can easily go 1, 2 pitchers across 2 games and then find themselves late in the postseason with a lot of good fresh arms left. So if any team I think can run through this, that's them, and that's how they've got here. I believe. They've always had a good offense. Now they've kind of matched that with that pitching, and it's going to be dangerous. This is truly, I think, one of the more dangerous teams that 1A is going to bring. And boy, it's been quite a while. Well, since all the way back at the Principal Park Day, since the last time we have seen Akron Westfield in the state tournament. So they know how to get there, and it'll be interesting to see if they can get back as well.
Yeah, quick math. I just kind of went through. They've scored 10 plus runs 11 times, and they've only
Yes.
allowed 5 runs twice. So that's a pretty good recipe for success for a team that's 17-2 at this point. So that's kind of what's cooking. But yeah, Akron Westfield, Remsen St. Mary's clashing in a conference title matchup this coming Friday. That's going to tell us a lot about Class 1A and those 2 teams as we head into the postseason. But the postseason is just around the corner. We were happy that you guys took some time with us tonight. Go check out the other rankings. Follow us on socials. I mean, this is the number 1 time to do it with those big games just around the corner. Class 1A fans, we appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week for what I think is going to be our final edition. Maybe one more. I'm not sure. We'll figure it out when we get there.